If there was one movie release that came out where you're like, oh, he's coming back and he's gonna review this, it's gonna happen. I'm thinking you probably didn't think that'd be the case for a video game adaptation film. Yeah. But here we are. I really wanted to talk about 2021's Mortal Kombat. Now, first up, I technically did not see this in theaters. I saw this on HBO Max and at the drive-in. I have not returned to an actual indoor theater yet. Hopefully soon, hopefully for Spiral. I guess the main reason that I felt like I needed to create this little review is that I don't feel like it's been getting a fair shake. Now, this film has essentially been kind of divisive just because it's a video game adaptation of a fighting game. So, if you've ever played Mortal Kombat before, you know how absurd the story is and that it's like a tournament between worlds. I don't even know if this is a part of the games or if they added to it for the movie, but then they added this stipulation of if you've lost 10 of them in a row, your world has, then your world can get taken over. So it's very simple, and it's also very much a fighting game story. So to then come in and criticize the story of this, I'm not gonna do that. That's not, it's not gonna happen. It's exactly what I would expect. If I'm going into a Mortal Kombat movie, I just want the characters to look like they did in the game and look badass. And I want to see awesome fights with cool finishing moves. And that is exactly what I got. Now, I'm not someone I'm not like an apologist for the original Mortal Kombat movie from the 90s. I own it, and it is a guilty pleasure. I in no way think that it is a good movie. And in a similar way, I do not think that this is a good movie. But it's a good Mortal Kombat movie, which is exactly what I want and what I needed from this. Another thing that usually with a Mortal Kombat film you're looking out for is Sub-Zero and Scorpion and just how well that rivalry is done. And they really knocked it out of the park here. They just destroy it. I'm so glad that they actually treated this with respect. It's clearly like a huge blood feud and it's just really well done. Although it's a little weird that they set up, I can't even think of what his name, Sub-Zero's original name. They kind of set him up as a regular human, but then he's just immediately Sub-Zero. And it's very similar with Scorpion. So it kind of felt like, hey, we don't need to see this, just mention. This is one of those few times where I say tell, don't show. But I really like that they essentially bookended the movie with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Good idea, because those are the most instantly recognizable of the whole Mortal Kombat cast. Another very recognizable person from the Mortal Kombat cast, which is not here, is Johnny Cage. Now, I do not agree with this decision to not include Johnny Cage and save him for the sequel. My main reasoning behind that, other than the fact that he is one of the most popular characters, is that they then decided to create a different character, his name being Cole Young. He's essentially our main lead. Yet he's an MMA fighter that has pretty much the same exact moveset as Johnny Cage. Yeah, he doesn't do the splits with a uppercut to the nuts, but I mean, he does a whole lot of fighting moves that look like Johnny Cage stuff. And then they give him a whole new powers. I don't know. It's just that aspect is weird, and I don't agree that they should have done it that way. Was it really that important to have this little prophecy involving Scorpion's bloodline? I don't think it was that important. I think Cole Young could have easily just been replaced. However, I have also seen that Johnny Cage and Kano kind of would have served a similar purpose in that they have very similar personalities and jokes, where they would have just been kind of competing for lines, which I understand. I get that. That's fine. However, I'd rather have that two of the greatest characters competing for lines rather than the just charisma vacuum that is Cole Young. But I mentioned him a little bit, and yeah, the absolute standout of this movie is Kano. Kano is amazing, and hilariously enough, I know Kano as the pharmacist dude from Superstore, and so It took me a moment to really just switch over and see him as this like Australian psychopath. I also really liked that he betrayed him, and yeah, he just knocked it out of the park. I really enjoyed that role. As far as other characters, like Sonya Blade, she's really cool. I like her. She was in like The Meg, and she's been in various things. I think she was also in like Chips. She's a good actress, and Sonya Blade, really, you don't need a lot from, but she is important in that she is a lot of the anchor of the human stories usually in the Mortal Kombat world. That's also because she's, you know, the wife of Johnny Cage and the mother of Cassie Cage. There's just a lot going on. So I'm glad that they were able to cast the correct person with that. Another person who I really enjoyed was Jax. Jax was awesome, and I think it's a role that will be expanded in the sequels just because he really was on a journey of rebuilding. So I think that in the next movie we can actually see him do his thing a little more, because he doesn't really become Jax until the third act. I've mentioned on this channel in the past that I'm so glad that special effects have gotten to the point that even lower budget things can look amazing. And yes, this is by no means low budget, but comparatively, 5 years ago, this movie would have cost 50 million more for the exact same outcome. So it was very cool to see the special effects done well, because while they definitely pushed things in the 90s version, there's a lot of stuff that's very dated. Goro looks awesome, but there's stuff just around Goro that does not. And they were even dated back then. Just they had that music video aesthetic. I'm glad that things are much more modernized, and so it's not, oh, this is gonna age very poorly. Though to be fair, I mean, I know that there's some stuff that's not gonna age great. Like Goro is 100% CGI, so, you know, that's going to be an issue in the future. And same with Reptile. Reptile was essentially just this big iguana. But it's really only those instances that it doesn't look great, because for the most part, they're combining practical effects with CGI, which is definitely the way to go. Yeah, I mentioned it towards the beginning, but the fight scenes. If you're doing Mortal Kombat, the one thing that you have to get right is the fight scenes. You can have a whole cast of characters that are in the wrong uniforms, wrong personalities, but if the fights are good, then you've got at least something redeemable. And here, the fights are awesome. The fights are so much fun. We get to see a ton of finishing moves, including even the one-liners that follow. The movie's just about having fun. It's never about, ooh, yeah, this is gonna look cheesy. Ooh, yeah, that's not gonna work. It's just about having fun, and that's really what I wanted and what I needed. I think that's what a lot of people wanted and needed, and that's why this movie ended up doing so well. Speaking of doing so well, it seems and sounds like they're going to be having a sequel to this, which is awesome. I can't wait to see what they do. They even teased Johnny Cage for the sequel, though I think that's going to be a little odd when Cole goes to find him, because they have so many similar powers. Either way, I'm really excited to see where the sequel goes, because they obviously set up where all of the combatants that were killed get to be, you know, risen from the grave, which, I mean, spoiler alert, Kung Lao was technically killed by Shang Tsung in this. He had his soul ripped out, and there's like, what do they call him? Like Dark Kung Lao, or it's just like the dark zombie version, essentially, so what he looks like. And I'm really hoping that that's what we see in the sequel. That the sequel just has a ton of potential overall, because there's plenty of characters that we haven't seen yet, whether that's, you know, Baraka, Katana, obviously Johnny Cage, Ermac. There's a lot of ones that should be different to what we got in this as well. Plus, I'm really desperately hoping that they can expand upon Mileena a little more, because Mileena is fucking awesome and terrifying in the games, and I feel like she's kind of just glossed over in this, so hopefully they can, you know, fix that little bit of misstep. 7 out of 10, it was pretty awesome. But that's really all. Let me know what you think of this little video format, because I think that this is what I'm gonna do. I really like just doing voiceover and talking over footage. You'll notice like some stuff didn't match up with what I was saying, because I'm just using trailer footage, because I'm trying to make these something that where I can just throw it out there, do it quickly, but still get, you know, fun little reviews out. But yeah, let me know if you like this. Let me know if there's any other movies that came out recently that you're curious as to what my opinion is of it, because I'm looking at doing some reviews in the future. I think Godzilla vs. Kong is definitely one that I want to, as well as maybe even the new Saw movie, Spiral. Yeah, just let me know. And also, if you are not aware, I make videos for the Joe Blow Horror Videos channel. I currently have a series called The Horror Movie That Almost Was. It airs monthly. And then there's a series that I help edit and someone else writes and narrates called Playing with Fear, which is all about horror video games. So if you miss my videos and want something that's a little more edited, then be sure to check those out. I also have another series that will be premiering soon, but it's a little too early to talk about that. Yeah, otherwise, hope you guys have been enjoying your 2021. I hope that it's off to a much better start than 2020 was, and hopefully I will see you soon with another review. You take it easy.
You fucking beauty.